YouTube, JankyYGO here. My name is Michael, and in this video we are going to be going over some more cards coming out in Animation Chronicles. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. The first card we got is a Gadget Box. So this card is always treated as a Morphtronic card. Its first effect, you can activate one card name per turn. Card with card name, so you only activate one. Card results, put 3 morph counters on it. Once per turn, you can remove 1 morph counter on the field, and if you do special summon one Gadget Box token, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck while that token is on the field, except for Synchro monsters. So I know why they put this, because otherwise the effect would be really, really powerful and borderline broken. But to be honest, the best version of Mortronics, while it does Synchro summon, it's a better Link Spam deck if you ask me. But anyway, that's just my opinion on it. I do have a Morphtronic deck and that I built that you can check out. I'll put it somewhere. Maybe I'll put it at the end or not. A link to the video. Um, and while this could be used technically, it wouldn't fit. I don't think quite as well in that deck. But we're gonna move on to Toolbox, a continuous spell card. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. You control a monster, you can reveal 2 equipped spells with different names from your deck. And if you do, your opponent picks one randomly for you, and you put the other on the bottom. So this is once again for kind of just support the Morphtronic idea, because they have a small equip theme. Overall, I don't think you run this card either, but that's just my opinion. Now this can be used in other strategies, but like the other strategies that actually want equip spells, I don't know if you run this. I don't think Noble Knights or Infernoble Knights really need it. And if you're playing more of like a janky deck, then sure. You're playing with your friends. Maybe you're just getting back into the game, and you want to play with these equip spells, and your friends' power levels are really low. Like if power levels low like that, then sure you can play this card. I remember I liked equip spells back in the day, when I was really young. Like Mage Power and stuff like that, and Black Pendant, Benevolent Nuzzler, all those cards I really enjoyed. So if you're really really low power level like that, that could be a card you could consider if you play multiple. But we're gonna move on to a new archetype, and Kshatri. I'm gonna try my best to pronounce that. So I'm just gonna go with Kshatrila, um, Kshatriya, and Shangri-La. So Kshatrila. Sorry, I don't know how to. I don't know India, how Indians like vowels and lexicon work. So what I'm going with. Uh, Kshatrila Fenrir is a level 7 Earth Psychic effect, 2400 attack, 2400 defense. Its second and third effects are a hard once per turn. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, you can add one Kshatrila monster from your deck to your hand. When this card declares an attack or your opponent activates a monster effect, you can target one face up card your opponent controls and banish it face down. So this card's pretty good. It is kind of like a not even like a cyber dragon. You just control no monsters. You special summon it for free. That's pretty cool. The way that that's worded is that's called a unclassified effect. So a good example of this would be like it's similar to Cyber Dragon in the way that it doesn't activate an effect; it just throws itself out. Also, the fact that it's not a hard once per turn to summon itself is actually pretty good, and the reason for that is because you can summon it, and if they have interaction to like uh, negate the summon, you can summon another one if you needed to. The second effect is to search, and that's also very, very good, even though it's a hard once per turn, but that's okay. Um, and the third effect is also decent. It's removable. It's decent. That's a good effect. Overall, it's not a bad card. But we'll have to see what the other cards kind of do. Next up, Kshatri Unicorn, level 7 Wind Psychic Effect, 2500 attack, 2100 defense. Its second and third effects are hard ones returns. First effects is the same as last, where if you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. During the main phase, you can add one Kshatri spell from your deck to your hand. Okay, pretty good. This card declares an attack. Your opponent activates an effect. You can look at your opponent's extra deck and banish one monster from it face down. That can be potentially really powerful. Um, Especially because what you could do with this card in particular is you could summon it on your first turn. Let's say you go first. You summon it, activate effect to search, say Ash Blossom. In response to the Ash Blossom, you take their best card, and it can allow you to see what they're playing. So overall, I think the third effect is really good. It gives you information, or it can give you information, and on top of that, it can get rid of their best card in their extra deck. I think the first one is a little bit better for going second. I think this one's okay for going first, as this one, like I said, it gets rid of their best from their extra deck. So overall, still a good card. And now, the last of the main deck monsters, it would appear, Kshatri Ogre. It's a level 7 water psychic effect, 2800 attack, 1000 defense. Second and third effect are hard multiple turns. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. During the main phase, you can add one of this archetype's trap cards from the deck to the hand, and then the last effect. This card declares an attack or your opponent activates a monster effect. You can excavate the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck, banish them face down, and then place the rest on top in any order. So, the third effect is interesting. The second effect depends on what the trap cards do, and how relevant they are for the deck. So we'll have to wait and see. But the third effect is quite interesting because what that does is it's like you get to see the next 5 cards that they're drawing, or 4 cards that they're drawing, and you get to take their most impactful one that they might draw, or because Yu-Gi-Oh has a lot of searching, they're probably not going to see those ones, so you can take the top card that they're going to draw for turn. That's another thing you can do. I think this card is fine, and you probably play it just for the name alone, though. I think, unless the traps are really good. But the third effect isn't amazing. Maybe I'm, underselling it. But we're going to move on to their rank 7. So, it's a rank 7 Fire Psyche Xyz effect with 0 attack and 3000 defense. Materials are 2 or more level 7 monsters. You can only use the first effect of this card once per turn. During the standby phase, you can special summon one of the monsters of this archetype from your deck. Each time your opponent banished a card or cards is banished, face down, you can choose one unused main monster zone, or spell and trap zone. It cannot be activated while this card is face up on the field. If this card would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can detach one material from it instead. So the idea behind this is to have the other ones out, and while they start activating their monster effects, you're banishing cards and you're locking out their zones, and to the point where they won't be able to get over this. That's kind of the idea of it. I don't know how practical that is. I don't see it being too practical, especially because the monsters themselves don't have ways to summon themselves out outside of their initial summoning when you don't have a monster on the field. So that might be an issue. But other than that, this card is interesting, and it's probably something you play in the deck just because it summons out one from your deck. But overall, I'm not impressed with it. So we're going to move to a new Scareclaw card. Decline Scareclaw is a normal spell card. Its second effect is a hard one to turn. You can target one primitive planet, Reichophobia you control, or in your graveyard, return to your hand. Then, if you control a Visa Starfrost, you can change one Face-up monster your opponent controls the face-down defense. If there are 3 or more defense position monsters on the field, you can banish this from your graveyard to add 1 scareclaw from your graveyard to your hand. I don't know what the primitive planet does myself. Uh, so I don't know if you play this. Scareclaws are a brand new deck that came out in Dimension Force over here in the TCG, and I haven't seen a lot of people play them. So my frame of reference for this deck is very low. I don't know who plays it or whatever. Um, and I don't know what the deck can do. So if you know what the deck can do and stuff like that, you can either tell me what it does in the comment section, or better yet, you can send me a replay and show some of its combos. But we're gonna move to the first of the spell cards of the Kshatri. Kshatri Birth. Continuous spell. First, second, and third effects are hard ones for turns each. You can normal summon level 7 monsters without tributing. During your main phase, you can special summon one of your non-Xyz monsters as banished or in your graveyard for this archetype. If your opponent activates a spell card and you control one of those, you can target 3 cards your opponent controls, or not 3 spell cards, 3 cards in your opponent's graveyard, excuse me, and banish them face down. So this definitely helps with the Xyz. They activate a spell card to maybe get a search off or something like that. You banish, 3 of their cards and stuff like that. The only issue is when they're comboing off and stuff like that, they're probably going to be activating their spell cards first. Unless they search their spell cards and comboed off to get them. But that's highly unlikely, in my opinion. But overall, it's an interesting card. You definitely play it though for the first 2 effects, and the third effect is just something that might happen every now and then. Is my take on this card. Scareclaw Twin Saw is our next card. It's a normal trap card. You can activate 1 card with this card's name per turn. You can tribute 1 Scareclaw monster, then target 2 cards your opponent controls, destroy them, and if you control a Visas Starfrost, banish them. If there's a Link 3 or higher monster on the field, you can banish this from your graveyard. Link monsters on the field cannot activate their effects this turn. So this is punishing opponents for linking up and having these big Link monsters. Because Scareclaw, from what I understand, kind of force things to go down into defense, just your opponent's stuff, and face down defense. I don't, like I said, I don't know a lot about this, about the deck, but I've read some of the cards, and that's kind of what a lot of the spell and trap cards do. And so, while Link monsters get around that, this says, hey, Link monsters can't activate their effects this turn, and it punishes them for going into Link monsters, which is okay. But I think the main point of this is that it's an Icarus attack that can be potentially better. You got the last but not least, the Kshatri continuous trap card, Kshatri Prepare. First and second effects are heard once per turn each. During either player's turn, you special summon 1 of your Kshatri monsters that is banished or in your hand. Your opponent activates a trap or effect while this card is face up in the spell trap zone, and you control Kshatri monster. You can look at your opponent's hand and banish it face down. 1 card and banish it face down. I think that second effect, well, it's not going to come up in every matchup. It's probably rarely going to come up because not a lot of decks play traps outside of Infinite Impermanence. I think that's a powerful effect, though. If you manage to have this out and start trying to combo off, and your opponent, like if you find a way to activate this on, or place this face up, and then your opponent like negates with Imperm, and you have this to take their best card out of their hand and just rip a hand card to punish them for using impermanence. This also can punish them for if you're in like game 2 and they decide an evenly match. This also can punish them for that. That's another card people play. So yeah, overall, I think this card is pretty decent. You might play it. You probably play it just for its first effect, and its second effect, when it comes up, is nice. But the second effect, to banish a card from the hand and look at your opponent's hand, is a powerful effect. So that is going to be it for this video, though. You can tell me what you think about this new Scareclaw and Kshatri support and all of that in the comment section down below. If it is your birthday today, happy birthday. And if you want to send me any cool deck profiles or replays, you can send them to JankyYGO at gmail.com. And of course, and as always, have a wonderful day.